Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning and welcome to Mornings with 60 and Me. Today is Thursday, it's July the 7th, and I hope your day is off to a great start. I want to share today with you the news that's happening in the world and also some stories that I've chosen I think are interesting to our community. So first of all, my cup of tea today. I am drinking Earl Grey. I decided to go with a bit darker tea today and a little bit of caffeine. And Earl Grey is wonderful tea, so I'm enjoying my Earl Grey. And thanks for sharing all your stories yesterday about your drink of choice in the morning. It was great to just join the conversation here. It was really fun. So news in the world. Okay, big day in the news yesterday in the UK, but really it affects the whole world. The Sir John Chilcot is a gentleman who has been working on a report on the invasion of Iraq 13 years after the event, and it's taken about 7 years for this report to be written. It's like 2.5 million words. It's a huge document and goes through really what happened and tries to explain what could have been done differently. And as they say, the whole goal of this was to not necessarily lay blame, but to try to understand how to avoid mistakes in the future. And so the three things that they came up with were, number one, that the judgment around the consequences of the decisions that were made were not really thought through. People did not really anticipate what was going to happen and the consequences of the military action. The second thing was that military action, in their opinion, was not the last resort, and that all peaceful options had not been explored. And the third thing that came out of the report was that the troops who were sent from the UK, were not prepared adequately. So this report is really about the UK involvement in the war, but of course a lot was discussed around the support of the United States and the rest of the world and the United Nations involvement and so on. So anyway, it was a very profound document. There's been apologies from the current Labour Minister, Jeremy Corbyn, and the Prime Minister who was in charge of the UK during that time, Tony Blair, has also been under amazing pressure, and he also apologised. Although he said he felt that it was the right decision, it was the right choice. He still believes that. So that's what is happening here in the UK, and there's obviously going to be ripples from this for a while. In the US, President Obama has decided that he's going to keep troops in Afghanistan. He was going to be cutting back more significantly, but has decided to leave about, I think it's about 8,400 of the 9,800 that are there now. Taliban is very strong and still causing a lot of chaos, and so the choice was to stay and support the Afghan soldiers, and that's the big news from the States on that front. Also, the United States just announced yesterday that they've put the Prime Minister or the leader of North Korea on a blacklist. They've sanctioned him, Kim Jong-un, for human rights violations. And this, of course, puts into motion the ability to freeze assets of him and others in the assets in the United States. So that's another bit of news, global, the rest of the world news. So in sports, because we're covering that every day, for those of you who love football, European football anyway, Portugal beat Wales last night 2-0, and they go on to win to play the winners of tonight's game, which is France and Germany, neighbors and the host country. So that's going to be an interesting game. I'm sure the streets are going to be pretty noisy around here after that game this evening. So that's what's happening internationally. A couple of things, I found a few stories that I really was interested in. I wanted to share with you. One is about beauty. And it turns out there's a group that did some research to show that the amount of money that's invested in the beauty industry is like in 2050, they say it's going to be 24 billion with a B, dollars. So that's an amazing amount of money. Now, what's interesting is that if you align that up with the fact that boomers over 65s are the fastest growing demographic, that they say in this article that they expect that growing boomer generation will actually fuel the growth of the beauty market. I have a question on that. I'm not sure. I don't know whether that's an accurate statement. They expect that the older, well, I suppose men and women, but mostly women, are going to fuel a growth in the beauty anti-aging industry. And from my, experience, it seems that the younger women are the ones who are more concerned about looking younger, and that the real target audience for these beauty companies is the 40s, 35, 40, even into 50s. Women, by the time we get to be 60, kind of have figured out that it doesn't work. Makeup's fun, that we can use makeup to make ourselves look a little bit, you can hide the wrinkles a bit and use beautiful skincare oils and creams. But really, the anti-aging message, in my opinion, doesn't resonate with the older women. So I think that's a really interesting analysis. And, going back to the younger women, I found a quote by Khloe Kardashian, the Kardashians, and they are the experts on all things beautiful. But she was actually quite down to earth, and she said the three things that she believes are her beauty secrets, and she does buy drugstore products, apparently, she says, are get lots of put sunblock on when you go out in the sun, drink a lot of water, and what was the thing? Oh, face oil. Yeah, she loves face oil, and so do I. So I'm like Khloe Kardashian. How do you think of that? No, seriously, those are three really good pieces of beauty advice, and so I'm with her on that. But anyway, I do think it's interesting, though, that there's an expectation that older women will buy anti-aging products, and I'm just curious how you feel about that. So that's one story. Another one I think that's really relevant for us is about retirement. And this one is actually a group that I discovered called it's called the Age of Retirement, and they are a group. They're actually in the UK, but they're all over online and trying to create a movement of a culture where age doesn't matter, and especially as it relates to retirement. And of course, they talk about the fact that from their research, they found that a huge number of boomers, older men and women, are planning to keep working in their 60s and not really ever retire. And this whole definition of retirement, bingo and golf and and just hanging out, is just not what we do anymore. We're active, we're dynamic, we're starting new businesses, we're mentoring, volunteering. Retirement just isn't what it used to be. So this group is kind of interesting, and they point out, like we have in our articles too, that the money isn't the main motivation for retirement anymore, for continuing to work after retirement. That we want purpose and value, meaning in our lives, and that's really how we see our retirement years now. They're not go to sleep, fade into the sunset gracefully days. They're dynamic and creative, passionate times. So I thought the Age of Retirement is an interesting group. We'll put the link to their website so you can check out what they're up to. They're doing a lot of work that's quite interesting in changing the mindset of businesses who have older employees who are retiring. So check out the Age of Retirement. It's a very interesting group. Let's see, good news. My good news story. Where's my good news story? Oh, yes, this is a good one. And of course, it's only a good news story if you like chicken, or I suppose if you're a chicken, it's not good news, but today is National Chicken Day. And it's a day where you celebrate chicken recipes, chicken, I guess, in your life. But what made me really laugh when I thought about this day that we're celebrating today is that, of course, the man associated with chicken, Colonel Sanders in the U.S., Kentucky Fried Chicken, was a fascinating man. He was his life was full of tragedy and full of disappointment and failure, and it wasn't until he retired, in quotes, at 65, when he used his last $106, I think it was, to go back to what he loved, and that was cooking. And he, made this chicken with a special hidden recipe, secret recipe. And of course, when he sold the business at 75, he was a millionaire many times over. So for me, that is a good news story that we sometimes beat ourselves up because of decisions we've made, things we've done in our lives that didn't quite work out. And here's someone that just kept on going. He never gave up. And he was so successful because of that tenacious attitude. So anyway, I thought it was a kind of a cool story. And so the good news today is age is not a barrier to anything you want to do in your life. Just get on with it and do it. Okay, so Thanks again for being here. This is really important that you know how much I value you here in the mornings with me. I get up early, I just check the news stories for you, and I'm hoping that it starts in your mind a conversation, gets you thinking about things at a different level, gets you prepared for the day. So, so in closing, I do want to tell you that yesterday I reach over here, I gave a notification that I was going to give someone in our community this really beautiful little bag. It's from Bali, and it's gorgeous. And I said that if you put a comment below, I would choose a name randomly, and I did. And the person I chose was Sandy Douglas. And Sandy lives in Millbrae, California. So Sandy, I will be messaging you privately to get your address, and I'll post this in the mail to you. And I hope you fill it with good memories and treasures. And thanks for everyone for contributing your comments and just being part of the conversation. So my question for you today, going back to that beauty story, I would love to know, do you buy products that are marketed as anti-aging beauty products? I would really be interested in your point of view on that. Just leave them in your comments below in the section underneath the article, and I look forward to hearing your responses and joining in the conversation. Do you buy beauty products that are marketed as anti-aging? Okay, everyone, well, have a fabulous day. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you again tomorrow morning. See you then. Bye-bye.